All right, so I said I was going to go over some of my favorite devotionals, and I thought I would be starting off with My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers, and this is what the book looks like. You can find it on Amazon. I'll put the link for the book in the description below so you can get it for yourself. It's a great daily devotional. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but I will be going over some of my favorite devotionals that I have tagged on here, and January 11th is where I'll start. What my obedience to God costs other people. And it starts off with Luke 23:26 that says, "As they led him away, they laid hold of a certain man, Simon, and on him they laid the cross that he might bear it after Jesus." If we obey God, it is going to cost other people more than it costs us. And that is where the pain begins. If we are in love with our Lord, obedience does not cost us anything. It is a delight. But to those who do not love him, our obedience does cost a great deal. If we obey God, it will mean that other people's plans are upset. They will ridicule us as if to say, "You call this Christianity?" We could prevent the suffering, but not if we are obedient to God. We must let the cost be paid. I'm going to stop right there for a second because it's very important to understand that when you come out of your old life, the sinful patterns of life that you walked in, you're going to be giving up things, and the people that you did that life with are not going to understand why you gave those things up. And a lot of times you have to give those people up because they're not willing to, one, respect the new lifestyle that you walk with Jesus because you had to die to your old self. They're not going to respect the standards that you uphold in the biblical way of life. They're going to think that you abandoned them. They may play the victim, that you don't care about them anymore, but obviously it is on the contrary. You would like for them to leave that old life behind as well because it's damaging. It's not good for you. And when you start living the Christian life, people are going to try to find everything they can to say, "Oh, well, that's not very Christian of you," even though you're speaking from the Bible, because it's intolerant. The Bible offends. It will offend their sinful lifestyle, so they will call it out as not loving. But then when you have to put up boundaries, they will say, "Well, that's not very Christian-like," which is also biblical, to put up boundaries. But I do find it funny how when you speak biblical principles, they'll say, "Well, that's not very Christian of you." And then when you put up the boundaries, they'll say, well, you're not acting very much like a Christian. And you're like, "Well, you had a problem with me calling out sin. You had a problem with me living the Christian life. And as soon as I put up boundaries, you want me to walk out the Christian life that you think I should be walking in." It doesn't make any sense. Both are biblical. He continues, "A lack of progress in our spiritual life results when we try to bear all the costs ourselves. And actually, we cannot. Because we are so involved in the universal purposes of God, others are immediately affected by our obedience to Him. Will we remain faithful in our obedience to God and be willing to suffer the humiliation of refusing to be independent? Or will we do just the opposite and say, 'I will not cause other people to suffer'? We can disobey God if we choose, and it will bring immediate relief to the situation, but it will grieve our Lord. If, however, we obey God, He will care for those who have suffered the consequences of our obedience. We must simply obey and leave all the consequences with Him. Beware of the inclination to dictate to God what consequences you would allow as a condition of your obedience to Him." And that's where that devotional ends. But we need to be very careful when walking out in obedience to decide for God how life should be if we walk in obedience. The Bible does say life will be difficult. We will walk in struggle. We will walk in persecution, and that's a type of suffering. But it is a delight to walk out the ways of God. It is a joy, even in the midst of persecution. But we don't get to say how God should intervene in our lives and in the lives of others just because we're obedient. We're obedient because we love Him. God's ways are perfect. Our ways are not. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been in the old life. All we can do is be a light to those still living in darkness. So I challenge all of you today to be a light for those still in the darkness. And hopefully they'll join you in the walk. But you may need to put some distance in between you and those people if they are disrespectful, if they are harmful, if they are pressuring you, if they are mocking God, you may need to put some distance between you and them until they are willing to acknowledge the truth. Be there for them. Be available to them when they want the truth. But remain salt and light for those in darkness. And don't get caught up in the worries of this world. Continue mission. Charlie Mike.